everyone. Welcome to The Tea by Meal Spouse Conversations. How y'all doing? How y'all doing this hump day? Let me know how you're doing in the comments. Say hello. Say what's up. Give us a thumbs up, a heart. Share this live as we begin talking with you about surviving a deployment. Hey! Conversation starters. I'm looking at y'all in the green room. Are y'all ready to talk about surviving a deployment? All right. Well, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'll give you like 10 more seconds to get that together because I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsor, USAA, for making The Tea and Meal Spouse Conversations possible this year in 2024. Did you know that USAA has a military spouse resource hub? Did you know that? Huh? If you didn't, now you do. But make sure you go visit www.usaa.com/military spouse and get all of the fabulous sweet tea from their military spouse hub. All right, ladies, I'm still looking at you. Who looks like they're ready? Grace! Hey! How you doing?
I'm good. Hey, everybody.
You good?
I'm
good? You good? You good? Okay. Nishita and Julie, who's next? Who's going to be hyped with me? Come on. Come on. Yep. You know what? Grace.
Yes.
So, Grace is our Marine spouse.
Yes.
Give it up for Marines. What do y'all say? What do y'all say?
Oorah. Oorah. O-R-A-H. Oorah.
Okay. But do you remember your first deployment? Going through your first deployment?
Yes. My husband's first deployment, I had just had a baby and he left. Not just, I mean, she was a few months old, but that's still just. I was very new into the postpartum world, and that was interesting, to say the least.
Okay, well, you know what? We're going to come back and touch on that in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and bring Miss Nishita on because Miss Nishita is our veteran spouse and military spouse, veteran turned military spouse. Nishita, do you remember your first deployment as a military spouse?
No, but I remember as a military spouse, yeah. We packed up all our stuff, we terminated our lease, and I went and lived on the ship in Iraq, and I had no responsibilities except for like a lot of responsibilities on the ship. But that was my first deployment as a military spouse.
Wait, did you say you packed your stuff up and lived on the ship?
Yeah, that's what you do on deployments. You live on the ship.
You were a military spouse.
Yep, we were dual military
spouses. You were dual military. Okay, so you...
And every time we went on deployments, like long ones, we packed up our stuff and we terminated our lease, and I saved a bunch of money.
Okay. So, you know what? I don't know why I thought...
Yeah.
Because you got married, like you got
You've been friends all these years and you don't listen. Literally talk about it all.
My bad.
How could you not know?
I'm old. My bad. All right, Miss Julie. What you doing over there? What you doing? She's muted.
What you doing?
What were you doing? You were over here doing something. What were you doing?
You had me behind the scenes for so long, I got distracted.
Kapow. Pew, pew.
Look, y'all been extra today.
Oh, I'm very extra today. I'm very extra today. Don't mess with me.
Maybe we are gonna need to talk about Reese's Pizza.
Oh my god, y'all a little spicy.
Mm-hmm.
So, Julie, do you remember your first deployment?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll remember that till I'm like 99 years old.
Until you're 99 years old.
Yeah. I'll
Give us a
remember it
little.
for those-
Give us a
Okay.
little insight.
So I was 25 weeks pregnant, and I had a 2-year-old, and he was only supposed to be gone for 6 months, and he was gone for 15 months. It definitely changed.
You were pregnant.
Mm-hmm. So I was
And you
pregnant, and I had a 2-year-old. And when he got back, I had a almost 1-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Oh, look, we're gonna dive into that a little more too, because it sounds like you gave birth alone.
Yeah.
With your husband while your husband's on deployment. Oh, we're going to look, you and Grace. Yeah, we're going to talk about those things. Okay, we're going to circle back. All right, I'll tell y'all about my first deployment. Y'all want to hear about it?
Sure.
Yeah. Y'all being mean to me today.
Sorry, like 500 times.
Why y'all treat me like this?
What do you mean? Tell the story. Come on. Stop crying.
Y'all hear Tiana? She wants to tell her deployment story too.
She said, tell your story. That's what Tiana said. Tiana said, stop crying and tell your story.
Y'all being mean to me. So our very first deployment, we were very much newlyweds. My husband was on subs.
That always makes me hungry when you say that.
Okay, he was on a submarine. So he did his department head tour on a submarine as an ensign. Supply Corps. So because people are like, if you're not Navy, they're like, oh, once you go on subs, you're always on subs. Not Supply Corps, but that's a whole nother topic. Well, my lovely husband was out to sea, and we were newlyweds, and I parked our car. He had bought a new Acura, and I parked it in the garage and closed the garage door on it.
Whoops.
Did it not have a sensor to stop it?
It
was
did.
probably like 1995.
Girl, that was not 1995. That was 2001.
Same difference.
It did, but for whatever reason, I guess it was like the way I was parked. I was kind of right there at the sensor.
You pulled the sensor.
And well, it was you know how it has the little inside bolt area, and it just kept sliding on it. So it would, and then it would go back up, but then it came back down, and it did it like 3 times.
Wow.
That was our first deployment. But we're still married. 21 years later. Sorry, dear. All right. Do y'all have any specific questions about surviving a deployment before I get started on my questions? Anything you want to touch on specifically? And if you're watching this live, go ahead and drop your questions in the comments. Let us know. Hold on. Y'all go ahead and talk. Let me quieten my household down. I'll be right back.
She completely left.
She completely left. I had no questions about deployment.
I don't have questions either.
We about to retire, and I don't even think about deployments. We're kind of on a deployment now because we're not like we're on a
Yeah, you guys are
on a geo badge tour. I guess it's like a deployment. I mean, it's like
deployments are in my past now.
I seen him a year ago. Was it like a year ago? I don't know. Over a year ago?
Oh man,
I'm not sure.
Unless I deploy myself on vacation.
Where you gonna deploy yourself to, Julie?
Anywhere.
To a vacation somewhere. That's what I'm deploying myself. Supposed to go to Jamaica this year. So that's nice. But I don't know about deployments. Deployments are. See, me and my husband were together before we got on the deployment schedules. Then we got back together after like we had been separated a little bit, and then we still didn't get married till later, and then we went on deployment together, and then later we had a kid. So it was like several years in there. Oh, you're back. Everything's quiet now.
Yeah. Had to go handle some children.
Children.
So
You got kids?
yes, Nishita, I have kids. All right, so Julie,
Yeah.
I want you to tell us, because you active duty Army as well as Army National Guard.
Mhm.
Help us understand the types of deployments for National Guard. Like when people say their National Guard service member is deployed, what does that
I
look
would
like?
not be able to answer that because all our deployments were under active duty. All I really know is when we were going through our first few deployments as active duty Army, I kind of paid attention to what was going on with National Guard, and they were leaving for 18 months at a time because 6 months was training in the States, and then they would deploy for a year. So I know that was happening around, that was like 2007, 8, maybe even before then, like right when like the wars kind of first started. I don't really know what they do now, but that's, so it was always kind of like, I always kind of was worried about it because it was like, oh, I always just assumed that National Guard deployed for a lot longer than regular Army. But of course, that just depends, and I don't know if that's true. Sorry, I don't know.
No.
But yeah, all our deployments were under active duty Army.
All right. So all of your, I'm taking notes. So I will remember these things because apparently Nishita thinks I don't listen.
Well, I didn't say you didn't listen to Julie. I said you didn't listen to me specifically. I was talking about myself. No one else.
No, you know what, Nishita, I really did. I knew you were married while you were active duty, but I thought like you got out of the military like shortly afterwards, that you didn't deploy while you were married.
Oh yeah, I didn't. I was out. Yeah. I guess we like 4 years. 4 years together before I got out. No, it was more of like 2001 to 2007. So 6 years before I got out. So we were dual military.
Now, Grace, my dear,
Yes.
I want you to talk to us about surviving a deployment with a baby. How did you survive?
I mean, I had a baby twice during deployments. The first one was my first kid, and that deployment was over the summer, which made things a little bit easier because there was a lot to do, a lot going on, and we were in California. So we took like summer trips to the lake and, just kept busy, camping trips, those type of things. I would say the downfall in that was I was deep in postpartum, and at the time I didn't know that I had postpartum depression and anxiety. I thought that was just like part of having your first baby. So it was pretty rough at the night times when like you're the one that has to do all the feedings and all the changings and all the wakings and all the things. So it was difficult, but once it was done, it's like, oh, okay, it's over now. So I think that's like the main thing to hold on to is like it's gonna be done. It'll finish, and so you kind of just keep going with your day to day. The second time, yeah, the one after that, I had a baby, almost 2-year-old. And my youngest that I had, Alina, I don't remember timelines. It's hard to remember what years and months and stuff. That one was over the holidays. And so that one was rough because I had the two babies. They both have winter birthdays. So he missed both birthdays, first birthday, third birthday for my other daughter, Christmas, my birthday, his birthday, all the holidays. So that was different. That was, I think, harder emotionally, as far as missing those memories. But because it was the second and I had already done it once before, like I said, I had that mentality of like, well, in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, it'll be over. So not too bad. And I will say now, if you've had a deployment in like most recent times, it's easier to communicate. And the Marine Corps, when they're on UDPs, they get to be on shore quite a bit. And so you get to talk to them at least a couple of times a week for a little bit. So that's nice.
Yeah, you make a very good point about the communication
Mhm.
because, and Julie, I'm going to ask you this question, and actually everyone, because Nishita, you were active duty and was deployed. So now, Julie, I don't know how much you want to, because I know a little bit of Julie's story behind the scenes. Do you care to share navigating that deployment and the communication?
Sure. Do you mean the lack of communication? Like, I don't know what you
Yeah,
mean.
because talking about when Grace mentioned about the time, now there's a little bit more communication,
Yeah.
different ways of communication.
Right. I mean, this like our first deployment was in 2006. And I had one of those phones that like has Snake on it, like the game Snake. Do you guys remember that?
No.
Like it could barely text. Like it was not, and it didn't even really. I mean, I think because we were in Germany, so I think it did technically work when I was out and about, but it was like an emergencies only kind of thing. So it wasn't like, so basically all that to say, if he called, I had to be home to get that. Otherwise he would have to leave a message. Contrast that to like our later deployments, and I had a smartphone, and it was like I could text him, I could message him, I could call, well, I don't think I ever was able to call him. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I was never able to do that. But by our last deployment, it was like if he called, I had the phone with me all the time. So our first deployment, it was basically like, and that was like true for everybody, pretty much. Like, I mean, it would be the kind of thing where it was like, oh, I can't meet you this afternoon because my husband said he was going to call me. And then it was the kind of thing where like, if you did that, you ran the risk of missing out, hanging out, and your husband's still not calling you because something comes up. So you had to like, okay, what do I do? Do I chance it? Do I just say, okay, I guess I'll talk to him the next time? Like, okay, it's been 3 weeks. Okay, I really need to talk to him. I'm going to stay home. Like you really, like that dynamic does not exist anymore if you can always catch their call, So, and I just remember our first deployment where we could like text each other. I was just like, this is blowing my mind.
I still want to know about this Snake game. I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about.
You have to Google it. You have to Google it. But yeah, like there were periods where like our first deployment was interesting because like for a lot of it we didn't communicate at all, other than like maybe once a week or something, and it was just really hard and frustrating. At one point we went like 30 days without talking. But by the end of the deployment, what he was doing is he was actually in a room in front of a computer. So by the end of the deployment, like for a short period of time, we like could talk over Messenger or I don't know if it was AOL or Yahoo, whatever it was, but we could talk that way. And it became the kind of thing where it was like when he was working, he was there. So it was like, we went from like no communication to like the last month or so, it was like, oh, hey, like, I don't know.
Talking about, hey, let me go to a quick commercial break because we have a little commercial break from USAA. 1 second. All right, and we're back. So I'm gonna tell y'all this about
I got
what
two.
you got two. Okay, well, hold on. I'm gonna go first because I said I'm gonna go first. So Grace, let me switch places with you. All right. So talking about the lack of communication. So when we were on subs, there was no communication. There was no email. There was no phone calls, nothing. But we had family grams. Mind you, we were newlyweds. This is my very first experience with the military.
Well,
And so I met some ladies reluctantly. I did not want to hang out with these women at all. I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. They came to my house. They just showed up at my house. They're like, we're coming to your house. You're going with us. No, you're not. They did. They came to my house. We went out and I had a great time. I had a fabulous time. And I loved it. And they, they kind of taught me the ropes a little bit of navigating military life. So that's how I survived our first deployment. Plus another really good friend of mine. But for the communication, we have family grams. Y'all, I've always been a little extra.
uh-oh.
I was told that the family grams were read by someone in the command prior to going to your husband, right? So you were limited words. Y'all know what I love to talk about, poop, right? So of course, Grace, did you get my video I sent you? I sent everyone a video.
I did get the video you sent, yes.
I got it right here. You want to watch it? You want to watch it again? No. So I'm talking to my husband about poop. I've always talked about poop. Again, I didn't know other people were reading these family grams for screening, but I was trying to keep the romance going. Not about poop, but
Oh my goodness.
My letters were poop or trying to be romantic.
So it's a great combo.
And it was, I failed.
So funny thing is, in 2001 it was 1999 to 2001, I was the technician who kept those comms going. And so I read all the I used to read the messages. I don't know if I never seen anything about poop. So I was in the Pacific. I don't know what side y'all were on, but I was on the Pacific side. And it was our job to keep those comms up for the spouses. So when I go in there, to check the equipment, I'd read the messages. I wasn't the screener though.
All of ours were handwritten.
Oh, it was before. What year was it? Well, yeah, but they still.
Close.
But
this
it's
is
like
1952.
Yeah. What'd you say?
1952.
Right, because what year was that? Because I know in 1999, 2000, 2001.
2001. But we were on subs.
Right. I was the technician who took care of the equipment that
He
sent
was
those
on-
family grams.
He was on subs.
And I was the submarine technician. That's what I'm saying. Like on the land, there's a whole communication set up there. And they're sending the messages to the sub. Because like you can't get paper to the you see what I'm saying? Like you can't, like, how do you think that the paper would get on this sub? They're like
Well, we
underwater.
wrote them. So we wrote them beforehand.
And then they went through this communication system and it would come across the screen and we fixed that
No,
system.
they opened them. So Marcus opened his. So
Oh,
I
well
had
then-
it all packed ready to go, but someone else.
Oh, packages. Packages?
Well,
So you
we
wrote them
did-
beforehand and then they went with them.
Inside of it. Oh, it went with them. Oh, you didn't do the electronic one. You never used that?
Mm-mm. No,
Never?
but they still had a screener even for the written. And then for the halfway night, I sent him a halfway night box. I didn't know they were opening those boxes in front of everyone either.
So, well, you just gotta
But-
assume that everyone is looking.
But my way of surviving that deployment, I was thinking of my husband more so than me dealing with things, right? Because I'm like, I wanted him, this was his first deployment as well, right? So it was like, he was a young whippersnapper. But just looking at deployments in general, just overall, because we've done quite a few, my survival of deployments was really just finding myself community, finding friends, finding people to do things with. And when I was having, if there was a time, because with kids, right, your kids start getting on your nerves. Let's just be honest. We can be real for a moment. Your son never got on your nerves, Nashida?
No. He was my friend. I told you. We just had this conversation last week. No, he didn't. But he went outside to play a lot too.
Mine did too, but shoot.
Your kids you were always saying they get on your nerves.
Not on my nerves in a negative way. They're kids. They're being kids.
They're funny. Kids are funny. And fun.
Nashida used to pick with my kids.
I did not. No, I didn't pick with your kids. I said hi to your kids all the time.
Deployments in Japan were difficult because Nashida would pick with my child who would beg me to go outside to see the lady across the street.
Never happened. I worked down the street. I didn't. I was even at home.
Okay, let's get back to the topic. So surviving a deployment.
Can I tell y'all that when I was on the ship, my first deployment, I made the mistake that I would order Victoria's Secrets.
I think you told us that one.
Yeah, see, and the men would open my.
They'd open your packages.
Yeah, see, we've had this conversation before. Did I tell y'all I had emergency surgery when my husband was on deployment after I had my son? And they had to go contact him through the ship.
Wow.
Well, you're laughing. What are you laughing for? So how did you navigate that with your husband away? Was he able to come?
It was a whole ordeal. Like the people in the hospital kind of took care of my son until my first class from the ship. I was off the ship at that time because I was, of course, giving birth. But he came and he picked my son up and took him to his house, and then it was a big ordeal. And then my babysitter came and got my son.
Wait a minute, Nashida. You're always about to say, you're so close to saying your son's name. And so you're like, Mar, let's
I said his name last week.
I know, but I want to make this clear to the audience. She has a son that has the same name as my husband. They're not the same people. Let's make that clear.
That'd be awkward.
Gotta make that clear. Continue on. That would be some tea. That would be some tea. But no, wait a minute. Sorry, people. That it's a joke. It's a jokey joke.
I'd have to bury that tea bag in the closet deep. Like I wouldn't. It's not tea. That's a skeleton. That's a whole skeleton.
No.
Skeleton you try to bury. It's 2024. It'd come out though. There's skeletons to bear this year.
Mm-mm.
Well, that took a turn. She didn't finish the story.
So anyways, my babysitter came and she picked him up from our first class house. Meanwhile, they're having a whole back and forth with this ship because, it's really hard for them to, they just get like that. They're like, oh, you're just trying to get a vacation. They kind of get like that. You know what I mean? And so he did finally make it after a week, I think. And then he came and got Marcus. And then I was still in the hospital. And then I came home. And then he left again.
You were still in the hospital and he left again. So how
I came home and then he left. He had to go back. He couldn't just stay there. He was on deployment.
So how did you navigate that when you got out the hospital, was home? Because you had surgery, so you were unable to do.
Well, I just did it because I had a cesarean when I had Marcus. So I had to go home. I was in the military at that time, so I had to kind of recover, but I had to take care of him too because my husband was also in the military, so he wasn't there. So it was kind of just me. I even tore my stitches and everything. It was a mess. But then, time just moves on. You just get on with your life. It just goes. Bye.
You learn to just keep going. Like, you just got to deal with whatever comes your way.
Deal with it and just keep it moving.
So I'm going to ask you ladies this, and then we're going to wrap it up. What has been the most difficult part of deployments for you?
The solo parenting aspect of it. I know for some it's like the danger, like they're in a dangerous place that really affects them. But like for me, that was kind of, it's not that I didn't think about it, but that really was on the back burner. It was like having to be the mom and the dad and not having that other adult in the house to help. Like that's what killed me.
If you had to give one tip to a military spouse that is going through that right now and feeling that way, what would it be?
Oh, find your mom friends. Like, find your mom friends, because if you can find other parents that are going through it at the same time, you guys can do so much together. Like, you can have, like, with one of my friends, one of the deployments, like we would like be like, hey, let's have a steak night. And what did that mean? That meant we're ordering pizza for the kids. We'll go to one of our houses, order pizza for the kids, and then we would cook steak for each other and have a nice like steak dinner together. And like we would just like, oh, we need a steak night, And that was like, both of us would go back and forth, like, we need this, and just having someone that you can depend on for that kind of thing, it just makes all the difference in the world. So
yeah. Very good point, Julie. Very good point. Because if you have littles, having other moms in your corner, because they understand, they can relate.
I mean, you can do it like nowadays. It's a little bit easier with grocery delivery, but we even did like, okay, like you watch my kids, I'll go do my grocery shopping, and then I'll go put my groceries away, and I'll come over and I'll stay with your kids, and then you can go do your grocery shopping. And so we didn't have to bring our kids with us to do the grocery shopping. I mean, just things like that. Like, you just come up with systems, and it just makes it so much easier.
It all works. It works out. Oh, I almost forgot the birthday giveaway, because we were doing a birthday giveaway for and I have the name, because there were several people who did comment, or they liked the post, but they didn't follow all the rules. You've got to follow all the rules. But we did have one from Instagram, Laura E. Yay! So I will be contacting you, Laura, to get your information, to send you your Amazon gift card. All made possible by who?
USAA.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Grace, you had, oh, I was like, who is that?
My youngest. That's my youngest. That's the second deployment. That was second deployment baby.
What would be one tip you would give to a spouse right now going through?
Going through deployment?
Or even if you're not going through a deployment, but one tip to just survive a deployment.
To survive. Okay, I'll say this. When my husband first deployed, we were fairly new to our duty station, so I didn't really know anybody. Fairly new to the Marine Corps also. So we depended on our unit. If you're a Marine Corps spouse, you should have a DRC, a Deployment Readiness Coordinator. I think that's what it stands for. And they'll plan events. They plan events during deployment. There's a briefing on like what to expect while your spouse is deployed. They should have some like childcare opportunities, which was a big thing for me because I didn't know anybody. So I didn't have that person to be like, hey, can you watch my kid? Or hey, I need a break. So when our unit did host, babysitting event type stuff, I took advantage of that to get that break that I needed. Even just like welcoming parties, those type of things that allows you to know other people who are going through the exact same thing you are because they're usually deployed together. So depend on your unit as much as you can. And not every unit has a great one, but there should be something there for you.
There's something there for you. Yes. Lean on your units or your, what are they called in the Army? Units? Are they called units in the Army?
Or yeah, sorry. Yeah, there's units. Companies, units, brigades. Depends on the level.
Yeah. So Marine Corps, you want to look for your DRC or your URC. They're the ones that are the family liaison for the unit.
Okay. What's one tip you would have, Nishita? Someone who is going through a deployment to help them survive.
I would say take care of yourself. Just take care of yourself. Like yourself. Don't, you're going to have the kids, you're going to have, and I hate to say it, the friends, because you still, once you get in those relationships, there's a amount of care that's involved between the two of you. You're going to want to take care of them. You're going to want to take care of the family who calls you. You're going to want to take care of all these people, but don't forget that you exist as a person outside of all those people. And you also need to care for yourself because sometimes, people can't know what you need because sometimes you either can't articulate it. Sometimes you don't know, but just keep that space for yourself where you're in touch with yourself and you understand, like, maybe I need a break right now. And it's okay to take a break from everybody. Everybody. Even your kids. Like, you might say, oh, I'm going to take a break. And then you go talk to your friend for 20 hours or 10 hours or whatever. But you still need that space for yourself. Are you doing the things you love to do for yourself? Maybe you like to get your hair done. Maybe you like to get your nails done. Maybe you like to read a book. Maybe you like, what do you like to do? So that you don't lose yourself along the way. That's what I would say.
Yes, take care of you. Because look, I tell people all the time, it's me first. It's seriously, and for me, and this has been my entire marriage, it's God, myself, and my husband. We run a tight race because I have to be okay in order to ensure he's okay. That trickles down to our children, right? If my cup is overflowing, it trickles down to my children, and then it trickles down to other family and friends. So yeah, taking care of yourself, especially during a deployment, because you are there doing everything on your own. My tip for you, if you're going through a deployment, actually everyone said everything I was going to say. Especially take care of yourself, find yourself some friends, and hey, why not come hang out with us here at MilSpouse Conversations? We're your friends right here online. and in person, because we do this show every Wednesday. Our Facebook group, come on over, join us there. And we do monthly virtual events, which we're going to do one in March. I don't have my calendar, so I don't have the date. My bad. And y'all see how we roll? What you see right here is what you get. We're not going to be talking at you. We want to talk with you. And we like to have fun. And I think during deployments, you need to have some fun. It's okay to have some fun. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to cry. And sometimes you might cuss. Am I the only one who cusses?
Yep.
Why y'all looking at me like that? Y'all looking at me like I'm crazy.
It
None
is
of us cuss
extremely
ever.
difficult to get through every show without saying one curse word. It's extremely
I
difficult.
make it through every show and not cut. What?
I said for me, not you.
But yeah. So this is oh, someone just left a comment. Let me see what they said. Oh,
She has so much hair. Yes. She's blessed. My first daughter didn't have hair till she was like 3. This one came out with a full set. So she's got, as you can see where she gets it from.
She get it from her mama. She get it from her mama. She get it from her mama. All right, folks. So we're going to sign off for the night. But be sure to like, share, and comment. Come hang out with us. It's a good we've been on 42 minutes of conversation, community, and fun with us. Join us for our monthly virtual events and our in-person events. We have in-person events around the globe, okay? Stop missing the fun. All right, folks, have a good night. See you later. I had to do it to you, Grace. I had
Thanks,
to do it. Good night. Thank you for watching. We will be right here next week, same time. All right. And if you enjoy our show, you can find our Buy Me a Coffee link right there. Support us. $5. You can support us with $5. Buy us a coffee. All right. Or you can buy us 50 coffees. But thank you for tuning in. See you later. Have a wonderful, fabulous day. And remember these 6 words. Know you, be you, and love you. Know who you are, be who you are always, and love who you are. Good night from MilSpouse Conversations. I'm going to finish sipping my tea. Good night.